Right, it says we're streaming live now. It just popped up.
Okay, thanks. All right, we're good. We're live. And it only took 20 minutes.
Excellent. So we're good to go.
We are.
My name is Jason Perot, and I call to order the October 15th, 2020 meeting of the Groundwater Advisory Committee. Sorry for the delay. If you're looking at us in live streaming, we had a few technical glitches, but we're on track now. We're streaming and recording. Have some preliminary matter I have to get through first before we start the meeting. This is an open meeting of the Groundwater Advisory Committee being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you'll find posted at the top of our agenda for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation. Unless participation is required by law, this meeting will not feature public comment or public participation. This meeting is being convened by the Zoom conferencing application. The link is provided on the agenda for live streaming. For the participants in the meeting, please note that the meeting is being recorded. You are on display on video. If you are not speaking, you may wish to mute your microphone so that any additional sound does not disrupt the meeting. In terms of the way the meeting will be conducted, we'll cover some ground rules. I will introduce the items on the agenda, and the presenters will make their presentation. After the presentation is complete, I'll poll the members of the advisory committee for their comments, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. For any response, please wait to be recognized by the chair before speaking. And if members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself and to wait being recognized before speaking. Because this is a remote meeting, all votes will be taken by roll call. And just to check on the access of all the meeting members, we'll just go down the line here quickly. I'm Jason Perot, chairing this meeting and a member of the Board of Selectmen. We also have Amy Paretsky, Planning Board.
Here.
We have Teresa Capobianco, Board of Health.
Present.
We have Brian Furman, Water and Sewer Commissioner.
Present.
And we have Diane Goldner, Conservation Committee.
Present.
Also with us is Town Engineer Fred Litchfield. And our transcriber of minutes, Melanie Rich, is monitoring this meeting. And with that complete, I think we're ready to move on to the first agenda item, which is to consider the continued petition of NB Real Estate LLC for site plan approval and a special permit per Groundwater Protection Overlay District to reconstruct an existing building at 56 Hudson Street, map 54, parcel 84, in the downtown neighborhood district and located within Groundwater Protection Overlay District Area 3. The applicant is NB Real Estate LLC. Representatives tonight here are Map Sani from Maytech, and Randy Waterman of WDA Design Group. So, Fred, would you care to introduce the topic? Sorry, you're muted, Fred.
Got it. This is a continued hearing. There was some information lacking the last time we met, and some information has been supplied since then. I did do a review memo, which all of you should have. The applicant did receive the review memo and sent in some additional documents today. And I'd like to have Randy Waterman run down his responses to each of the comments. There's an additional map showing the rain garden that I did not see on the original site plan that we had. So that came in today, and perhaps Randy could walk us through how the drainage system works and then run through the letter with his responses, if that's okay with you.
That sounds fine.
Yes.
Go ahead, Randy.
Hello?
Hello, Randy. Yes, you can proceed to
Can you hear me?
present. Yes, we can.
All
Can
right.
you hear us, Randy?
All right. As Fred mentioned, what's that?
Yes, go
Can you
ahead.
hear-
Yes.
You can? Okay.
Yes.
As Fred mentioned, this was a continued meeting from September 8th. At that time, we walked through the proposed plans and addressed as many questions as we could. And there were still a couple items that were missing from our application at that point in time. I believe since then we have completed that list of missing items and submitted those. And I think Fred has had an opportunity to look through the two main things on our end were the stormwater report and the operation and maintenance plan. And we have submitted both of those. And I believe a couple of his comments from Tuesday indicate that the calculations demonstrate there's a reduction in runoff. But basically the site plan, essentially, if you know 56 Hudson Street, the Maytech building, the westerly, roughly half of it is being taken down. It's a structure that's 40 feet by 175 feet long. And it's the piece that butts up to the river that passes under Cold Harbor Brook that passes under Hudson Street. So essentially that section of the building is being taken down and removed, and they're replacing that building with a more modern, efficient building. They do not plan on having more employees on staff. They're just making it so they have meeting room, break rooms, all the other rooms that they need that they haven't had in years. So that essentially is the project, is that building gets taken down, the new building gets built on the same footprint. And then there's a small little addition about 10 feet wide by 100 feet wide that will connect to the building next to it. So we'll be taking two of the buildings on site, adding this, or taking some of the building down, adding the new piece so that it will become one building. So almost all the work is on the existing footprint of the concrete pad of the building that is there at 56. We, as I mentioned last time, had presented most of the information on the site layout and the drainage. Fred had suggested that even though we weren't increasing the amount of impervious on site, that we should probably look at trying to create some additional options to polish the water before it leaves the site, since we are next to the Assabet River and Cold Harbor Brook. And towards that end, we found a location directly on the south side of the building that's facing the Assabet River. There's a grassed island there in the parking lot, and there are a number of existing roof drains that run off to that area and just sheet flow across the site and eventually either go into the outlet control structure, or they could run potentially across land directly to the river. So we proposed a small rain garden at the back of the building, and that will enable us to pick up several of the roof drains that are discharged onto the surface and collect those and store some of the smaller storms. That will be a vegetated basin. And again, we have provided the calculations to Fred that show how that basin functions, and it will be connected by a 8-inch cement line ductile iron pipe to the existing catch basin that ultimately leaves the site to the south. So we also included in the operation and maintenance plan, Fred had asked us to make sure that it's identified in there that when the testing is done of the drainage system going forward, he will get advance notice of that. He will also get reports of when the testing is done and what those reports show. And in addition, he wanted a copy of the contract, which I understand either yesterday or today, Maytech has signed up a maintenance person to do this work going forward. A couple of the questions that were raised last time were, what's the history of the maintenance of the drainage system on site? Luckily, it's a very, very small drainage system, essentially comprised of one outlet structure. But Matt was unable to find any previous records, so we really can't say what has been done, if anything. It will be fairly straightforward as far as maintenance going forward. The operation and maintenance plan has all the necessary forms for the contractor to complete to forward to the town. And so we expect that will be a fairly straightforward process. In regards to the letter that Fred just sent out on the 13th, many of those points that he raised were pretty much verbatim from the earlier one, but he has identified where we've submitted more information or where maybe there just needs to be some clarification. So I can just walk through those bullet points if that's all right.
Sure, that's fine.
So the first item has to do with the procedures for issuance of a special permit under the Groundwater Protection District, and there's a list of 5 items in your bylaw. Maytech has indicated to us that they have complied with the first section, which is a complete list of all the chemicals that they use on site. It's actually a very small volume of chemicals. Total volume is 157 gallons. They don't use hazardous materials or have any hazardous waste on site at all. They have talked to the fire department. The fire department suggested that they create a location in the building where they could have flammable material storage in 30-gallon drum or 30-gallon containers. They have identified that location in the building. And so the first 2 questions I think that were raised had to do with them reporting to the town. And we believe that they've addressed the first section of that procedure in the groundwater bylaw. And the next 2, section 2, 3, 4, and 5, do not apply to them. That they have to do with potentially toxic or hazardous materials, hazardous waste, approval by DEP for industrial waste treatment. And so those are items that do not occur on the site. So they've indicated, and that we would concur that they've provided the information required under that first one. And the second paragraph, Fred's comment was about the containment cabinets, and they have discussed this with the fire department. They are proposing 3 30-gallon flammable material storage cabinets, and that is noted in the brief response that I was able to put together and get that to you just today. The third item on the list had to do with the drainage system. And in Fred's comment, he indicates that the new stormwater calculations do include the net runoff reduction that he was looking for. There's less than 15% new impervious, essentially none. And they do not increase the existing impervious on site by 40%. And he was looking for some more detail on the water quality rain garden. And in my response, I mentioned that the rain garden, there was a plan that is in the O&M plan. It's a 11 by 17 design plan, shows the grading for the rain garden, shows the outlet structure, its location, and how the pipes are connected to it. So that is already in the O&M plan that we submitted several weeks ago on the 24th of September. Number 4 of his comments should indicate, he requests that we indicate floor drains. There are no floor drains in the building at this time. There are none planned. So that seems like that has been addressed. There was a question about containment in that question as well. Containment might be required if a sprinkler water could potentially mix with any chemicals. But again, if the chemicals are kept in these containment structures and there happened to be a fire and the sprinklers went off, then they would automatically be separated so they could not commingle. Number 5. Fred indicates that the stormwater management plan indicates the infiltration bed is adequately sized. And he's requesting that a permeability test be performed within that area. We do have some various tests over the years from different areas of the site, and the record soils are good. And we noted that in the drain calcs, but we do agree to provide, we will have our soil evaluator go out and do a permeability test in that basin. So we've indicated that in the response that we sent in today. Number 6, the stormwater operation maintenance plan says should be revised to include information about how the drainage system is being maintained. We don't have that, as I mentioned. They have no records that they could find, but we do indicate how it will be maintained, and that is contained in the stormwater and operation plan under pages 8 through 10. And there is also a copy of the sample inspection report on page 1. And as I mentioned, any cleaning that goes on from here forward, and all cleaning will, the applicant will be providing those reports to Fred's office. And that's listed in our response letter today. Item number 7 was Fred wanted to make sure that the operation maintenance plan, requires notification to him, and that the reports come to him, and that all off-site material is removed from all material removed from the drainage system is disposed of off-site, and we have that is included in the stormwater plan currently. That is page 7, paragraph 4 includes that information. And again, we are committing to that in the written response that we provided today. Item number 8. He had indicated the project will require a permit to be filed with the earthwork board prior to the start of any earth moving. And I guess that one I replied saying we agree to submit an earthwork application, but I added if applicable to this project. And that's sort of a question I had for Fred. In looking at just the general earthworks definitions, it sounded like that is removing material or moving material around on the site and removing it from the site, which we won't be doing for this project. So I was just questioning if an earthworks application is actually required based on the fact that they're building over the existing concrete, and essentially the only earthworks are the rain garden. And I don't know if that's something that we want to discuss now, or if that's something we can address after.
We can talk about it after if you like. You're going to build on the same foundation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
The requirement for the earthwork permit is if you're going to disturb, whether it's remove or bring in more than 100 cubic yards. If you're building on the same footprint of the foundation, you will probably be under that limit.
Okay. Okay. And that's why I said we agreed to do it if it's applicable. And I just want to clarify once we have that opportunity. But the only earthwork that's happening is the rain garden.
Okay. It wasn't clear to me you're using the same foundation, so.
Okay. All right. Question number 9 was that we will require a permit from the Concom, and we understand that. We are working on the notice of intent application as we speak. We kind of want to get through a certain period of, input from the board. We've been through design review and now the groundwater. This is our second meeting. So we just wanted to get enough input. So if we were going to file a notice, we didn't file it and then have to go back and amend it immediately. So we are working on that application as we speak. Number 10 was really stating that non-conforming uses can be allowed as they are allowed under the underlying district. And I think Fred's comment was that this applicant should be allowed this special permit as a use, has been at this location for almost 20 years. So we just listed that as no response from us, I presume. Question number 11 had to do with, does this project or this property equate to a commercial or industrial activity which involves as an accessory use, manufacture, storage, application, transportation, or disposal of toxic or hazardous materials? And we don't believe it does. It's a machine manufacturing facility as a primary and accessory use. And so therefore we would not believe it would qualify as commercial or industrial activity. And they don't use any storage, transportation, or application or disposal of hazardous or toxic materials.
Well, hang on.
Yep.
The fact that you have 157 gallons of material that needs to be stored in a cabinet means that you're storing something.
Correct.
So that's where I assume that triggered that clause.
Yeah. Well, none of those are toxic or hazardous materials. They're using some of the machinery stuff they're using. Is Matt still on? That he
Yes, I am. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is typically household stuff, paint, which we are going to put in the cabinet anyway. The only thing out of the ordinary household uses is the machine coolant we have, which has not a toxic substance. That's the only thing we have in true volume here.
And I think the other thing is that section is specifically for expansion of existing non-conform. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Next one, section number 11. That's for commercial or industrial activities which involve accessory uses for the manufacture, storage, and so forth. I mean, their primary use is machine manufacturing, so it doesn't seem logical that there's an accessory use going on that has to do with chemical use on the site.
It's mine. I can talk to the building inspector a little bit further and the fire department, but it's been my understanding that if the storage of chemicals is required to provide you the ability to do the primary use, then the storage of chemicals is an accessory to the primary use, and therefore that generally triggers that condition. It really is covered by the fact that you have the appropriate cabinets. I was just looking for more detail about the cabinets and the location within the building so we can get it on a plan that's of record and the fire department would have it as well as anybody else in the town hall.
Okay.
So typically, when you have chemicals that you need to perform the primary use, that's the accessory, storage is the accessory use. That's the way we've looked at it in all the other cases, and I think you're covered, but I believe you are required to have that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarification. Item number 12 essentially is requesting as-built plans, and that would be showing all the pipe materials and any changes to the site, grading, buildings, pretty much anything. So that is very typical, especially if you were in the buffer zone of any wet areas. So we have agreed to that, and that's listed as our response to number 12, that as-built plans will be provided to the town at the completion of construction.
You would be required to provide that as-built plan to the Conservation Commission as well. The same plan for both should be sufficient in the end.
Correct.
Can I, are you done, Randy?
Yes.
Could I go back to a couple of comments that you made?
Yes.
One is in the first one where you said that you addressed the 1 and 2 and 2 through 5 weren't applicable. I think that's correct, except for the fact that item number 5 requires a statement by a qualified expert that you're not going to do any damage to the underlying groundwater. That's typically provided by the person who does the drainage analysis, and they provide some statement. I didn't see that in your stormwater report from the engineer who stamped the calculations, and that would be required and should be submitted along with it. As long as you meet the state stormwater management guidelines, which you do, and that is stated, you just need one more statement that says, I certify that we will not degrade from the initial groundwater quality with the use of the property as designed.
Okay.
So it's a simple enough statement for Mr. Scotchy to provide.
I got you. Okay.
And then I would still like to see the details on the cabinet and the location within the building. And then was the rain garden plan part of the stormwater analysis? I didn't see it in my package.
Yes, it's in the operation and maintenance plan, maybe fifth or sixth page down. It's there's a USGS map, and it's the sheet right after that. And I sent you, I think, a separate copy of that.
I got the separate copy.
Okay, it's in the stormwater pollution prevention plan, and it's page, looks like 8. So there's a USGS map, and it's the next sheet.
I see it now. Tucked it right in there. Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
Just to confirm, everything that Randy said is true. It's in my memo. The stormwater calculations do meet the regulations. They do not provide an increase in volume or the rate. I'm satisfied with that. I guess that there's just a couple outstanding issues are the qualified expert statement, the information about the containers, and then and where they're going to be within the building. A footprint is fine. The fact that there's no floor drains helps. The fact that they're connected to the town sewer, that also helps. Everything else seems to be appropriate as far as I'm concerned, and I guess perhaps we can see if the committee have any other questions besides the stuff that I pointed out.
Great. Thank you very much, Fred. Members of the committee, any questions?
I have one.
Yes, Diane?
In the rain garden, where is that? Will there be water flowing out of that into the river?
No, the rain garden has its own discharge pipe. There's an 8-inch cast iron pipe that will connect right to the outlet control structure that's in the parking lot. So we'll go there, get treated before it leaves the site.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Amy?
Sorry, I had to unmute. When we last met, Fred, you mentioned that this might give you a chance to go through the building and see if the old systems were working. Did you have a chance to go through the building and check out the old drainage and everything else on the site?
I did not. I'm not on mute, right? I did not get a chance to go through the building. Randy had indicated that they don't have any reports, historical inspections of the drainage system, but I believe the memo said they were doing some inspections today and they would be preparing a report to give a statement of adequacy and any maintenance that's needed right now. So I'm looking forward to that, but I haven't seen it yet. And no, I have not been on site or in the building.
Be able to, like, there are some drains in the driveway, and I don't know, I just wanted to I was hoping, since we postponed it a month, you'd be able to see if the old system was still working.
We did in fact have that service yesterday. I was hoping to get the report for today, but the company who we have entered into a multi-year contract with the rain earlier in the week, put them behind, and I was hoping to have it for today, but I should have it within the next day or so. I can forward that on to Fred and he can disseminate it to you guys as well. But the technician, for what it's worth, said it was in great shape. Everything looked good, no issues. So we'll just wait for the final report to come in and we'll get that to you within the next couple of days.
Okay, and that's for the whole site, not just this one building?
That is for that's the drain we have that all the runoff goes into.
It's like in the driveway?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Let's see. Where does the snow removal go on site now?
It's pretty much, the majority is pushed to the edges, but it'll probably wind up where the rain garden is.
Okay, I was just wondering because I did read the stormwater management report and it mentioned maybe looking at sand versus salt. And I'm just running this by you, Fred, too, because a lot of your decisions sometimes state if there's any outside salt, to keep it covered. I'm just thinking because the river's there. I didn't know if you push the snow towards the river with salt or sand.
There's basically a natural occurring berm that protects the river from that. I don't know the exact elevation, but it's got to be 3 or 4 feet from the driveway to the berm to get to the river. So most of the snow we have comes toward the building in the area that will now be the rain garden.
Is that okay, Fred, if the snow goes on the rain garden? Or is that what it's supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, the rain garden's not that big, so it can't actually accommodate that much snow. The rain garden's not there today, and so I assume that's where they pile up the snow now. There's not a lot of snow removal for the site itself. Their parking lot is really across the street, so there's not a whole lot. It's not like a massive parking lot for a larger warehouse type facility. There's just a small area in the back where they get to that, what I would consider the newer building, the 35-foot high building, where they get in and out. Everything else is pretty much across the street. So I don't see it as a problem the way it is right now. There's a little space there, but they're gonna chew up some of that with the rain garden, and small storms can be stored there. It does run through a water quality separator before it gets to the river. And the plants in the rain garden are designed for that kind of uptake.
Okay, I drove by there today, and I noticed this building 1 is attached to the brick building, and then there's a building 2 and building 3.
Yes.
So this project is connecting building 1 to building 2?
It's actually building 1 is going to be separated from the new building. So the brick building you saw as you drove by, in the middle where it turns into a blue building with the metal facade, there will be a 20-foot buffer there for the new building to go up, and it will be attached on the
South side.
Old Harbor Brook side to building 2.
100 feet will be attached. Is that what he said? Like 10 by 100 or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I noticed there's like some 55-gallon blue drums. I think, is that the coolant you're talking about?
Yes, those are empty barrels that we're waiting for. We're Safety Clean takes care of all of our old coolant, and they need to pick those up.
Now, is that okay, Fred, with groundwater to have the drums outside, or should they stay inside until they're picked up?
If they're empty, it shouldn't be a problem for them to be outside. They're not actually storing anything. All that there is the metal container if they're empty.
And those are the drums that will go in the storage containers inside?
We could. The idea was not to put that in because the fire department didn't seem to have an issue with that. But I mean, if we need to add, if that's part of the requirement, we can so do. The nice part is we've got a clean slate to work with here, so we're willing to do whatever we need to do.
I guess that would be up to Fred and the fire department. When I drove by, I just saw the big blue drums outside, and I just wanted to make sure they weren't hazardous and that they were properly contained if they were.
I guess I have to go back through the list and see if the coolant was one of the chemicals on the list that created the 157 gallons. If that is a potential concern, then yes, we would want it to be in the cabinet.
I was just curious too, is there any water discharge in your manufacturing process?
There is not. Nope.
Okay. All right. And let's see. I guess those were all my questions. I just wanted to make sure the drum was the main thing, was not hazardous and stored inside a container in case it was. And also, I didn't know if I just didn't want the snow being pushed into the river. Those are my 2 main concerns. I'm all set though.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
Thanks.
Bryant, any questions?
I'm fine. I'm satisfied with what was presented.
Okay, thank you. Teresa, any questions or comments?
Thank you. No, I'm all set.
Okay. I guess I just had one question. You're talking about this new section that's being added to kind of mate two of the buildings together. Is that right?
Yes,
And that's a 10 by 100 run.
yes.
But that portion is or is not over an existing foundation.
That is not over the existing foundation, but that area has been covered with like a foot of crushed stone for years, and also there's some concrete walks in there.
Okay,
So-
so there's nothing to disturb there that
No,
would
we're
trigger.
not, we're
a
not removing any
earthquake.
greenscape whatsoever. It was already calculated as being an impervious surface.
I see. Okay, thank you. That takes care of my question.
Can I just expand on that a little bit, Jason?
Sure.
Randy, you're not going to dig anything there to put in the footing for that connection, or you're going to build it right on top of what's there?
I don't know, Matt, I don't know if that's something you can answer, Matt, as far as if it's just the building overhang in that area, or if they're pouring a new foundation in that area. Either way, there's no greenscape that's being removed
There's no greenscape. There will be a slab poured in that location.
in that
But
rectangle.
where we separate the two buildings, we give back some space. So I think based on Tom Reardon's calculations, it's a few hundred feet that we are now adding, I guess the word would be.
My concern goes back to the earthwork board. If Randy could just do a calculation on the volume of material that's going to either be removed or brought on for the establishment of the footings and the foundation, whether it's that slab, 10 by 100 foot deep would be 1,000 cubic feet, and you'd be over the 100 cubic yards. Just would like to have Randy provide some kind of calculation to verify you're above or below the 100 cubic yards, so we can make sure that we're getting the requirement for the earthwork permit or not.
Okay. We can do that.
You'll probably need to do that at some point before you get to conservation anyway.
Correct. Yes. Okay.
Amy?
I just had a quick question. I know it's late, but I wanted to review the original decision, or Fred review the original decision, just to see what the conditions were on the original building, to make sure that those are added to any decision that we might have now. Like there could be we don't have a copy of the original decision for 56 Hudson Street in their groundwater decision. I was curious, and I emailed Fred, but it was too last minute for him to get it for me. But I did notice on the deed that was included with the application, there were 5 restrictions. And that's what got me start thinking about 56 Hudson Street and any other conditions that were put on the decision before, just to make sure that they're included with the new decision.
Yeah, we've done a couple building additions out here at this site for that tall 35-foot building and the other building to the south that's now being connected to the main building. So those got groundwater permits. So maybe those would be sort of more recent that you could, probably easier access to get those conditions possibly. Because the original building was very, very old.
You're muted, Fred.
Yep, I know.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'll look and see if there were any conditions that need to be carried over. We can recommend, if the committee is inclined to make a recommending approval, we can just ask that the new decision be not replacing any old decision, but supplemental to, and therefore the conditions that are in place would be continued on, unless Randy or Matt have some objection to that, if there's some condition that you found onerous or not applicable. But it seems that would be the simplest way to make sure what you want to have accomplished, taken care of. But I will review the old decisions. I actually don't recall having them come to groundwater in the past, but it was at least 10 years ago. So maybe I just forgot.
And I just saw Matt nodding his head. So I think, yes, we're in agreement that makes sense.
Okay. All right. That's okay with the committee. That'd be fine with me.
Very good. Any final questions? Amy and Teresa, I can see you, so you can raise your hand if necessary. No? And Bryant, any further questions?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
And Diane, any further questions? You're muted, Diane, if you're trying to respond.
Oh, I just have one quick one about the,
Just a sec, let me just see if
Sorry.
Diane's going to. Diane, did you have any further questions? We're not hearing you, so you may want to check your mute setting. Let's move on to Amy then. Amy?
at the beginning with the presentation, it was mentioned there's a maintenance person that's going to go forward and work for Maytech to do all your biannual, like in the stormwater, the sweeping and the cleanouts. Is that someone who's hired by Maytech, or is it an outside contractor?
No, it's an outside vendor. It's Jolin Paving. They do all of Westboro's sewer cleanouts. So we entered into a multi-year deal with them. So every April and October, they're going to come service the system.
Okay, that's great.
And we can provide that contract to Fred for his request.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep, thanks.
I'll just check back with Diane one more time. If Diane's unable to respond, or if we're unable to hear her, then we won't be able to record a vote for her since our votes are by roll call. Diane, could you try responding once more? We're not hearing anything on this end, Diane. I don't know if you want to try disconnecting and reconnecting to the meeting. Fred, do you have a phone number for Diane?
I do. Want me to give her a call and tell her she's not connected any longer?
Yeah, could you do that, please? You can put yourself on mute.
Yep. Give me 1 second.
Thank you. It's not just me, is it? Is nobody's hearing Diane?
No.
Okay.
All
It's
right.
entirely possible, you know. Diane, I'm seeing your frame highlight from time to time as though there's some attempt to communicate, just as mine is currently highlighted while I'm speaking. So whatever's happening there, the sound isn't making its way to our end.
Okay. No.
Oh, I think we hear you a little bit, Diane. I'm not sure how your microphone is arranged, but perhaps you could try to be closer. Is that you?
Okay.
There you are.
You might be talking to Fred.
All right.
Probably, yes.
Okay, I just can. All right. Yeah, everything fine.
There you go. Hello,
I assume you heard
Diane.
that.
Can you, Diane, can you try again now?
Maybe. I just have Zoom. I don't have pictures, so.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're getting some background noise or something that's coming through here that may be causing a complication, but we can hear you now, so that's good.
Okay.
Did you have any questions or anything, Diane?
No, I did not.
Okay. If there's no further questions, Fred, do you want to walk us back one more time with the conditions that would apply to a recommendation to approve? And you'll have to unmute, Fred.
Yes, here I am. Sorry about that. Okay, so the items in my review memo, most have been responded to by Randy. Some did not require response, but should be added as conditions. So I would recommend that you have the applicant submit the statement by a qualified expert as required in section 5 of the bylaw under 707010D4A1-5. And then I would also recommend that you require him to provide details regarding the cabinets that will be used to store any chemicals and the location within the building. Perhaps the floor plan could indicate where they are stored in relation to doors and things like that. So the fire department knows where they are if they have to go in an emergency, and we have a record of it. Let's see. The rain garden is appropriate, as shown. The operation and maintenance plan,
We have to do the perk test in the rain garden.
it's a permeability test, but yes.
Yep.
Somewhere where it can verify the infiltration rate of the rain garden as well as the existing infiltration system. They're very close to each other, and I assume the soil's fairly consistent. You may need two. And then have them shown on a plan later on as to where they were done when the test results.
So you want something in the infiltration that's on the other side of the parking lot?
So let me see.
The rain garden is near the building, and then the old infiltration area is over by the outlet structure.
Okay, somewhere in that area that can confirm the infiltration rate for both.
Okay.
It doesn't appear to be too far apart. It looks to be about 50 feet from the rain garden itself to the connection to the catch basin or the infiltration structure. So you should be able to get something. If you need to do two, that's fine, or one that's in between, but one that can confirm both.
Okay.
We could take a look at it. I'll come out if I'm available.
Okay.
I'd like to see the soil, make sure it's fairly consistent to what was described in the report, the soil classification.
Okay.
Fred, can you check drains while you're out there in the report that's coming back?
I expect that the report will be here before we go out to do a permeability test. Permeability test is generally required before you get your building permit so that we know that you can build and still meet the drainage system. I would recommend doing it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Just because it may not be till spring by the time you get around to building, but I don't know. Depends on how long the whole process takes to get your final approval.
Yep.
I feel confident that you're going to approve that the old system is working.
I have not. I go by there all the time, and I have never seen any ponding or puddling there that was concerning. I'd be surprised. Generally, when applications are within a groundwater area, the soils are pretty good. That's why they're in a groundwater area. So usually they're fairly sandy and fairly pervious. So I expect that as long as the parking lot's being maintained and there's not a lot of leaf litter getting into the system to clog it up, it should be fine. And again, this area is pretty well utilized, and I've never noticed any ponding in that area, although I don't go by there on a daily basis. Did you indicate that the O&M plan was already amended to include the reports to come to the town?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
And
on
then
page 8 and 10.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
see it.
actually, yeah, on page 7, paragraph 4 of the O&M is where it talks about notification to the town engineer. Page 7, paragraph 4.
I'm not seeing it, but I would recommend that we have the O&M plan attached to any decision that gets recorded at the registry so that it's there in perpetuity. So I'll make sure that it's in there. I didn't see it, but I'm going to take Randy's word for it that it's there. And if not, we'll make sure that we get one that is.
Yep, we did add it. We added it. Yep.
Then the earthwork application, I think you could recommend that if applicable, and the 100 cubic yards is the cutoff, anything below that would not require the permit. And then the notice of intent, we should carry that in. And then the as-built plan, we have some specific requirements and they're outlined in the paragraph. And I would recommend that we also include that if you're inclined to recommend approval.
Yes, Amy?
And you were going to include that the new decision is
Yes.
supplemental to the previous conditions?
That's correct, yes. That any decision given by the ZBA for this project would include all existing conditions to remain in place, and that this approval would be considered supplemental to and in addition to, not replacing any prior decision by the board.
Yep.
I sure hope Melanie got all that.
At least it's taped.
That's true.
Right.
As long as I did what I was supposed to do in the beginning.
Okay. Could someone make a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion that we approve the application for 56 Hudson Street, map 54, parcel 84, and all the conditions that Fred just mentioned.
Very good. This is a recommendation of approval, right?
Recommendation.
Yeah.
Our,
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Moved by Amy, seconded by Teresa. This is a roll call vote. Diane,
I approve.
Bryant,
Aye.
Teresa,
Aye.
Amy,
aye.
and I will also vote aye. Jason. So carries unanimously. Recommendation of approval. Congratulations. And we wish you well in the
Thank you.
remainder of the process.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your help.
Yep.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
And the next item of business is review and approve minutes of the September 8th, 2020 meeting. You have a copy of the minutes that were distributed in Fred's earlier email. Just for the sake of procedure, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the September meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Diane. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none. So roll call vote. Diane,
Yes.
Bryant,
Aye.
Teresa,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. Minutes are approved unanimously. And the next item is discuss meeting date for November 10th, 2020, if necessary. Fred.
I'm not aware of any applications yet for next month, but I like to keep the second Tuesday of each month on the agenda. I assume 6 o'clock is working for everyone. Anyone needs to change the time, let me know. We have some flexibility. I think it's important to keep on a fairly regular schedule if we can, just because there are only limited number of licenses, and if we start to move around, it gets difficult to schedule a meeting. So I do want to point out that Wednesday, November 11th is a holiday. So if anyone's traveling and doesn't think that they'll be able to attend a meeting on the night before, please let me know.
Very good. Anybody have a problem with that date at this time?
No.
Seems fine. So, yep, we'll keep the placeholder there. Any other business to come before the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Teresa, seconded by Amy. Again, roll call vote. Diane,
Yes.
Bryant,
Aye.
Teresa,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
and I vote aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Melanie, also.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Aye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Fred.
Sorry for the delay earlier, Jason.
No problem.
All right, now I just gotta wrap it up here.